Looking for a reason to follow God's command? Here are two in this episode of 5 Minutes Closer. I'm Vaughn Weatherford, and this is 5 Minutes Closer. For the next 5 minutes, let's explore some biblical truths and apply them to your life. No podcast, including this one, can transform your life or give you what you really need. Only Jesus can do that. You can find out why in what I've called the first five episodes of 5 Minutes Closer. Each following episode explores scriptural truths that, if you follow them, will bring you 5 minutes closer to the person God created you to be. Let's see if we can get you 5 minutes closer. The people of Israel would have plenty of reasons to think they should not follow the commands of God. Moses realized they had two really good reasons to obey God. Number one, only God is God. And number two, only God's plan would work. Moses knew he would not enter the promised land with the people. That was okay. They didn't need him. They needed God because only God is God. Here's what Moses said in Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 39. Know therefore today and lay it on your heart that the Lord is God in heaven above and on earth beneath. There is no other. As the people of Israel entered the promised land, they discovered that every nation had its own God. The people of Israel would face the temptation to worship those false gods. After all, when in Rome, do as the Romans do, even though the Romans wouldn't be around for a few thousand years. Moses reminds the people of an essential truth. The true God is God everywhere. There is no other. We would do well to remember the same. If I told you I was going to score the winning goal in this year's NBA Finals, my guess is you wouldn't believe me. You would be correct. I can't make a basket in the goal in your backyard, much less in the NBA Finals. If LeBron James tells you he's going to score the winning goal in the NBA Finals, you'd be more likely to believe him. He's done it before. He's the only NBA player to score 50,000 points in their career. Moses goes one step further. The one true God is the only God. Period. There is no other. And that leads to a second truth. It's why only God's plan will work. Here's what Moses says in verse 40. Therefore you shall keep his statutes and his commandments, which I command you today, that it may go well with you and your children after you, and that you may prolong your days in the land that the Lord your God is giving you for all time. Setting aside the spiritual reasons for following God's command, and even setting aside the fact that he and he alone is God, and only he deserves our obedience to his command, just look at the commands Moses describes to the people. In the chapters that follow, Moses begins with instructions for cities of refuge, places where people unjustly accused could go to find safe haven. In chapter 5, he recounts what we call the 10 Commandments. The first 4 of those commandments refer to acknowledging God with our voice and our life. The final 6 commands describe a proper relationship with others. The commands just make sense. If society is going to work, you have to do these things. In other words, the commands of God fit. Not living by his command doesn't. I put on some pants one day. They were next to impossible to zip up, and I couldn't get them snapped. Then I noticed they weren't even close to the right length. I didn't think I'd gained any weight overnight, and I knew I hadn't grown a foot. Then I figured out the problem. They were my wife's pants. They didn't fit because they weren't mine. If we follow any other plan, it won't fit. Only God's plan works. Disobeying God ignores the fact that he made us. We are his creation. The good news is that by following God's command, our life will be the best it can be. It's not the absence of problems. Moses certainly had his share. So did Peter and Paul. But they would not trade anything for the life they lived for God. And neither should you, because now you're 5 minutes closer. My prayer is that these 5 minutes have challenged you, inspired you, and caused you to consider applying God's message for your life from his word. To find out more, visit our website at 5minutescloser.com. Join me next time to see if we can get you 5 minutes closer.